Today's April 5th, and it's time to start our seed planting for this spring vegetable transplants. Our last average frost date is May 15th, and these plants need 6 weeks to develop, so this will be able to get them into the ground around middle of May. I'm going to be planting bell pepper, banana pepper, some tomatoes, about 4 different types of tomatoes, some basil and nasturtium. I have the tags already made up to go into the pots. I have these cow pots, 6-cell cow pots that I'll be starting them in. I have some seed starting mix made. That's just compost and a few worm castings and peat moss vermiculite, and it's just a good starting mixture. And I have the seeds back here. So we'll get started on this. I'll set this camera up on the tripod, and then I'll get started filling these pots, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, the first thing we need to do is get these pots filled. I'll take these labels out until I'm ready to put the actual plants in there and have those handy. You'll notice in a couple of them I only have one marker for each of these sections because these 3 plants will all be the same, so I didn't need individual tags for them. The potting mix that I made is pre-moistened. You want this just moist enough that it'll stick together in a ball, but there's no water dripping out of it. You can squeeze it in your hand and it'll stick together in a ball, but it will not have water dripping out of it. So we'll get started here with filling these pots. And this is somewhat of a lengthy process, so I may not record the whole thing. I may just do one of them, then I'll turn off the video and start it again when I get them all filled. You'll see how fast this process goes. You can also use a commercial seed starting mix, but in my opinion, those are way overpriced, and it's much better off just using a homemade compost and a homemade mixture. The seeds do equally well, and maybe a little better in it, and it's a fraction of the cost. There's one of the trays ready to plant. Hopefully I mixed enough soil to do these 3 tray sets here. You lightly pack down the soil. You don't want it real tight because you want the roots to be able to grow through it, but you want it tight enough to where there's not air pockets in there. These cow pots are made out of composted cow manure, and when they are transplanted into the garden, they actually feed the plants as they decompose in the soil. The cow manure decomposes and it feeds the plants and totally disappears. Unlike peat pots, if you use those, they tend to stay in the ground for a year or 2 years, 3 years. So one thing that I discourage people from using is those little Jiffy, I don't remember the exact name of them, they're round cubes that you start seeds in, and they have a nylon shell around them that expands, and that nylon shell is non-digestible, biodigestible, and it will be in your garden for the rest of its life. So I highly discourage people from buying those little pellets that Jiffy cells that are designed for starting seeds. When they get wet, they expand. They make nice size peat pots. But as I said, that nylon shell, unless you cut it off of the plant when you transplant, that stays in the garden forever and ever, and it's best not to have it. Okay, that takes care of those. A little bit of soil mixed here. So we've got these filled up and ready to start the seeds. Move this pot out of the way. The next thing I do is make a small indent in each one of these for the seed to go into. It doesn't need to be very deep, just enough to take the seed and put it in. Some of my seeds are very old, and I'll probably put 2 or 3 per section. So first thing I always do is I mark the pot as to what's going in that pot, so that once they're in there, I don't forget what they are and not label them or I mislabel them. These are basil seeds. As you can see, they're very, very small. They don't require much burying at all. So I'm going to put 2 or 3 in each one of these. That takes care of the basil. The nasturtium is a different case. It's a very large seed. If you've never seen a nasturtium seed, it's interesting how huge they are. Those are the nasturtium seeds, and those do require burying a little deeper. So I'll make a couple holes here and put a couple seeds in each one of these. Nasturtiums I plant for 2 reasons. One is to attract pollinators, and the second is as a to repel other insects that come in. And if you've never tried them, they're also, the flowers on them are absolutely delicious. They're edible and delicious. And you should have some nasturtiums planted around the edges of your raised garden beds. Okay. These are the banana peppers. There's going to be 3 of those as well. Never grown these banana peppers before. It's going to be interesting. They're multicolored, so no idea what colors will be coming up, but we'll find out when they start ripening. When you poke the seeds into the soil, make sure it doesn't stick to your finger or to the tool that you're using and gets pulled out and planted in a different section. Okay, we need bell peppers next. These are emerald giants. I haven't ever raised those before either, so it'll be a first. I usually plant several seeds of each one, and then as they're growing and they start getting their true leaves, I thin them to the first strongest of the ones that are growing. Okay, the Roma tomatoes, I'm going to plant 2 of those, and there's 2 tags here for them. Put these up here. The Roma tomatoes we grow for making tomato paste and spaghetti sauce, etc. I've never grown this particular one before. This is Martineau's Roma from Baker Creek Heirloom, and they look like a real strong Roma tomato, so we'll get them. Roma tomato, as you probably are aware, is a determinate tomato rather than an indeterminate, so it only grows about 2 feet tall. Alrighty, we're going to have Golden Jubilee. We're going to have 2 of those. Golden Jubilee is a large acid-free tomato. It's a yellow, orangish color. These seeds are very old. They're from 2016, and I have another older package, 2015, so I'm going to plant a couple from each package in case they're, one of them is too old to come up. And I'll probably have all of them germinated, be my luck. And then the last 2 that we have are a yellow pear tomato, one of those, and a red cherry tomato, which we use to make salads out of. The cherry tomatoes, we saved seeds from last year's crop, and they're stuck to a paper towel, so I'll just tear off pieces with seeds on it and plant them, and they'll all grow. You can see there's a lot of seeds here. I'll tear off a piece of it. So that's the process. Then all there is to planting seeds to get them started for the spring. I'll now cover this with a humidity dome. and set it up onto the heat mat. And it's ready to go. I'll move that up onto the heat mat and then we'll look at it up there. Okay, I moved the tray up here on the heat mat. The heat mat's set to 85 degrees. It's thermostatically controlled. That dome will soon fill with moisture on top, and we'll be able to see the trays in there. It's important to make sure they kept moist throughout the process. I have several other seed trays going here. There's some other peppers I had started, and over here is some kale and some broccoli and forget whatever jalapeno peppers, and I have some bunching onions there. And over in this tray is my sweet potato slips that are growing, and they'll soon be ready to cut off and to put into a jar of water and get started rooting. So that pretty much concludes the process today of starting seeds, and we're ready to get the spring started. This portable potting station is probably one of the best additions to the greenhouse. I bought this last year. Was on sale at Sam's Club for a little under $70. I love using it because it folds up out of the way when it's not needed, but yet it's easy to use. It has a nice metal base to catch the soil that you spill onto it, and sidewalls to keep it from flowing over the edge. It has a little shelf underneath where you can set things that you need out of the way so that you can work on top. So this, if you need a potting bench, you might want to consider one of these portable ones. It's really durable, it's solid, and it's easy to store, and yet it's easy to set up. It only takes a few minutes to set it up and to take it down. So for doing seed starting, I love this potting bench. That pretty much concludes today's video. Thanks for watching.